Hey, you. I know why you're here. You're looking for some gratuitous makeup shots, a little bit of side information, but mostly those swatches and like up-close shots of palettes, and I'm here to give that to you today in the form of some blush palettes. And you might find yourself asking, Bailey, why do we need blush palettes? And I'll tell you, one, they're a way to inject a lot of variety, both in terms of shades, texture, and overall versatility into your makeup look with just one product, not a collection of single blushes or highlighters or bronzers, etc. It's really a one-stop shop of sorts. Reason number two is you don't need them, let's be honest. We all have a ton of makeup, but you might just find that one special palette that speaks to you in here because it does a little something different that the rest of the stuff that you have doesn't. So now that your questions are answered, let's go ahead and dive in. First, let's start off with a palette that offers the widest variety of mediums and finishes. It's the Natasha Nona Bloom Blush and Glow palette, and at this point, the brand Natasha Nona has a couple of different color selections following a very similar format where essentially you get a mix of cream products and powder products, and each one offers a little something different. So in the top, you have your creams, which by the way, very important in my opinion, are covered with little plastic flaps. You don't have to worry about cross-contamination between powder and cream. Few things are worse than opening up your compact with combo products only to find that your powder has shadowed into your cream, rendering basically both of them useless. So we have that plastic flap, and it's covering two cream products, a glow, which is like a soft, very lightly tinted pink balm, really mostly there for the balm aspect, I think. Unless you're ultra fair, then you might get some of that pigment to show up, and then you have a blush that packs one heck of a pigment punch. It is definitely one of those that you have to, I find I have to sheer out on the back of my hand, on any sort of mixing table, tablet, whatever you like to use, because it's really easy to overdo it. Alternatively, the other thing I like to do is just mix these two creams up here together because the lighter one kind of dilutes the more intense pigmented one. Then you have your two powders down here, and they say blush, but they're honestly a blush highlight hybrid. So you have your Duo Glow, which is a golden pink blush with a strong golden iridescent shift to it. Then you have your Glow Extreme, which has a slightly soft pinky champagne pigment to it, but it's really here because it offers some insane highlight. Like when you layer it over these cream blushes, it gives you like glass, dewy, wet looking skin, but it sets totally to a powder. You don't have to worry about it coming off on things, your phone, your clothes, I mean, any more than other makeup might, because it is a total powder finish. So this is a great palette if you prefer that mixture of textures. Maybe you prefer creams over powders because they just blend more seamlessly into your skin, or you don't mind the combo of both, and then you can get a really multifaceted texture to your blush look. So beautiful. Next up is kind of a full face palette, but because it has more than one blush, I am considering this a blush palette, and it's actually one that I included in my recent full face palettes that you gotta pick up if you're interested in like a daily face uniform. It is the Hallberg Infinity palette, which includes two blushes, two highlights, three brown tones, both warm and cool, and then a black shade here. And it might not look like much, like it just is, the aesthetic is very simple here, but it can do just about anything for you. You have your two blush shades, both a cool pink and then a warmer peach tone, and you can wear them alone. You can mix them with all of these, amp them up with more shimmer with these highlighters over here, tone them down with the lighter flesh tones over here, and then of course you have the black, which is great for like lining your eyes. This is really just a multitasker. It's your contour, your liner. You can use this every which way, but because it has those blushes in it, it's definitely a good go-to that still gives you more variety than you might expect, despite there only being two blush shades in this palette. This, I would say, is for the person who's like, yeah, I want a couple of different blushes and I want them to do different things, but I also want a palette that does it all. This next one is like the Glowy Blush Essentials palette, and one that I've raved about repeatedly here on the channel. It's from Beauty Bakery. It's the Cotton Candy Champagne palette, and inside you get four different pinky toned blushes. You have a bright pink up here in the shade 24 Hour Champagne Diet, then you have a soft pink over here, Sip Sip Hooray, a deeper, more mauve tone in Stop and Smell the Rosé, and then this last one is like a lighter version of that, a lighter and more pink version of that in No Champagne, No Gain. And this I like to use every which way, honestly. Sometimes I'll isolate individual shades, sometimes I will just mix them up all together, and it is guaranteed flattering shade every time on your cheeks. And because it has that built-in illumination, you can totally skip the highlight, but they're not so shimmery that you're gonna look like a reflector, like you're wearing a reflective vest on your face or anything like that. Like it's very much a lit from within. Wouldn't say natural. It's very much like that person has a secret and I want to know what's on her face. That's the kind of thing this does for you. And it really simplifies it by giving you the 4 shades, but still gives you some variety to play with. Now, if you want a ton of glow, but don't necessarily need 4 blush tones to do it with, this palette from Profusion is really great too. It's the Blush and Glow 1 palette. There are two blushes over here. One is more of a peachy golden tone, the other is a softer berry tone, and then you get 3 highlighters next to it. One frosty white, one called Charming, that is a soft gold, and then one called Fizz, which is more of a peachy gold. And again, same kind of thing where you can mix and match here to really update the tone of these blushes, which are shimmery. You're going to get a shimmery blush out of this no matter what, and then be able to amp it up with an equally shimmery highlight. So if the Linda Hallberg palette is for the person who's like, yeah, I'd like some blush variety, but I also want my makeup to do more, this is for that same person, but they have a fixation with highlight, which who doesn't? The next palette is what I have been reaching for most frequently lately and might win the award for most versatile purely blush palette. This is the Scott Barnes Cheek Chic palette, volume 1. It's the only volume to my knowledge right now, but hopefully it gets expanded because more tones would be amazing. So you get 6 matte blush shades over here and then 2 basically highlighter slash transformer shades over here. And the reason why I think this is the most versatile is because you get a combination of almost every undertone you could want. You get extreme pink, like extreme cool, and you get extreme warm with this yellow up here. You get your peachies, your deeper bricky red tones over here. We could maybe use some purples, I think. Like there's definitely room for expansion, but in terms of having everything you could want in one palette when it comes to blush, this is as close as I think we can get right now. Because not only that, you have your mattes, but then you can transform any of these into a glowy blush with either this soft champagne shade over here or this one that has a more peachy undertone and a golden shift to it. So effectively highlighters slash blush transformers. And one of you guys recently asked me how Mango Fizz looks worn alone on the cheeks. Honestly, I haven't ever worn it alone on the cheeks. I haven't worn a look that really asks for it. What I like to do though is customize all of these other shades that I might typically throw on alone and use it to customize it to the look. So say I'm wearing a look that I would typically wear something more peachy for. I'll reach into this Mango Fizz, this really bright yellowy orange shade, just to shift the color a little bit. Maybe I don't want it to be quite as red as this shade is here. I want it to be a little bit more yellow, a little bit more orange. And so I really more so use both Rosé and Mango Fizz here as transformative blush shades as opposed to wear alone shades. But the fact that you have a palette that allows you to do that and basically customize your cheek look every day, love it. And the last palette. Now this might be up for debate as to whether this even counts as a blush palette or if it is a blush transformer palette. Either way, I thought it needed to be included in this video because it's really underrated, I think, on YouTube overall. It's the Sigma Chroma Glow Shimmer and Highlight palette, and this is what I'm wearing as a blush and highlight today, as well as a little bit on my lips too. So basically, you get some blushy looking shades down here, but effectively these are all very sheer, slightly pigmented, mostly iridescent powders for you to wear on your face or eyes. Or lips if you want, I guess. And this I love because say you have that one blush that's your comfort zone, you love to use it every day, it's the go-to that you reach for. This palette will let you change that one blush at least 6 different ways. Definitely more if you like to mix and match. The slight tints and iridescent shifts here just add a little bit of interest and dimension to your blush shades. You can also, of course, wear them as a highlighter, which is what today I mixed these 2 shades down here, the ones that look closer to blushes, and they're called Lush and Bedazzle. That's what I'm wearing as blush today. Then I took the shade Zeal up here, which has this beautiful blue purpley tint to it, and I applied that, you know how I like to do, right in the outer corner of my eye area and diffused it into my blush. And that's where I like to apply shades that you might feel a little funky wearing on your face like that. That's exactly where I like to apply them, just so you only see it at hints of different directions. You can blend it into your eye look if that makes you feel more comfortable, but you still get to wear those fun shades without feeling like you're wearing a color maybe bolder than you're more comfortable with all over your face. And the shade that I'm wearing on my lips, I went in with Felicity, this soft lilac-y shade. I put that right in the center of my lips to add some dimension to the pencil that I'm wearing, which, by the way, is from Urban Decay. It's the shade Anarchy, just to give it a little iridescent blue shift in the center and kind of effectively act as a little lip highlight. So you might want to go check out my video on face palettes. If a video like this interested you, click on it right over there if you want to. And besides that, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.